PST. We've got a coupon code. Coupon code is ASC series. This is for 30% off, and this does expire at midnight tonight, midnight Pacific. So capture that code as you're listening, as you're finding, okay, I needed to get this product. This product is going to support me. Utilize that code, save the 30% off. Um, We've got the 30% off going, especially, it's an especially high discount because it's our anniversary month. Happy 17 years to us. And we want you to save a little bit extra. So let's get into it. As we're going along here, also, I very, very much encourage you to pop questions in the chat. So if something comes up that you're like, hey, I kind of need more information, or um, this thing's been going on. I've got some questions. Pop them in the chat, and we're gonna keep kind of, staying on top of that so that we make sure that we get you supported there. So let's dive into it. Well, first, let me just invite in any questions about the coupon code. That feels good to people? Thumbs up. We feel okay? Sometimes when I am on these calls, you like do a hand motion and then it will do the thing. I will note also that this code, it does shut off at midnight tonight. So if you are watching this later, if you're watching this either on YouTube or this is, you found this video somewhere, join us for another call because that one has been shut off at midnight tonight. So cool. So without further ado, let's talk about some reasons why your dark spots might not be fading. A lot of times when we're working on dark spots, these can kind of show up in two different forms. Sometimes these are hormonal, changes in hormones can kind of exacerbate melanin production. We can see that show up a lot around the tops of the cheeks. Sometimes kind of the sides of the eyes, those are usually a little more brown looking. They can show up anywhere, but that's a really common area that we see that particular presentation of dark spots. Sometimes these are post damage. So whether it was a blemish or a breakout, whether it was, another abrasion on the face, or intense sun damage. Those can also cause dark spots in the skin, and the color range for those can be anywhere from kind of a brown, like a light brown, to like a pink or a purple that show up on the skin. But with all of those, one of the biggest things that can be part of what's happening that you're not seeing these either fade very quickly or they'll start to fade a little bit and then you'll see them kind of represent is not sufficiently protecting the skin from sun damage, right? Sun damage from UV exposure, sun exposure. When we're working on fading dark spots, one of the most undersung heroes in this whole process is our sunscreen. We have a couple options. So this one is our Sun Love. This is a great daily sun protection designed for the face, very comfortable on the face, nice and supportive for softening signs of aging, but it uses a zinc oxide, specifically a non-nano zinc oxide, which is a molecule size that is large enough that this stays on the surface. It actually gets to act as a block. It's not allowing anything to penetrate into the skin. So we are blocking UV exposure utilizing this zinc oxide with our Sun Love. This is a really, really important piece of the routine because when we're working on fading pigmentation, gosh, what's the shortest way to describe it? So when you have a sunspot, let's say I had like a brown spot on my cheek, what's happened is there's been either an active threat or a perceived threat, and melanin that is on lower layers has moved up to protect the skin. It's kind of doing what it's designed to do, right? So we see this darkening in that area. When that is exposed to UV, re-exposed to UV, it does the exact same thing over and over and over again. So you might have been working with maybe our lactic toner, maybe our wild fruit serum, some products that are really, really helpful for fading dark spots. But then you go out on a walk or you go to a coffee shop and you sit outside and then suddenly, boom, it is just as dark as it was before. And part of that can be the fact that it is getting this direct exposure to UV. So one of the reasons that your sun damage, your spots might not be fading is that you are not sufficiently protecting the skin from UV exposure as you're working through that process. This gets to be particularly important if you are working with active vitamin C's, something like our Brighton, or active exfoliants. So something like the activated night serum, the lactic toner, even using those in the evening, they can still increase this potentiality for more sensitivity to the sun. So just being super careful that you are putting your sunload on in the mornings after. Now, I want to come in and see a question here. Looks like Emily got it. Okay, cool. How long does sunlove last? You got it last summer. It's probably good, but yeah, just check your expiration date. Mine is super light on this bottle. The newer bottles have like a yellow printed date. So check the bottom of your bottle. If you are finding, Rebecca, that you're still having a hard time, you can write us in, write into us at customer support and we can do a little cross-referencing and figure out when you got it. But generally the bottle is good for 2 years, past its production date. So that's the timeline we've got with that. So Sun Love, this is one that I'll probably talk about on a lot of these calls. Um, to make sure that you are protecting your skin as you are working to fade that, to fade dark spots. So another thing that could be going on if you are working with, you've been working with products, you're trying to get this to fade and you're finding that you're not really seeing your dark spots fade, is that you might be using, I don't want to say the wrong kind of skin brightener, but potentially a brightener that either needs another kind of angle to it, or one that's not really supporting the type of dark spot that you have. So let me make this make more sense. When we're talking about fading dark spots, we're usually talking about two potential ways of going about it. Utilizing something like a tyrosinase inhibitor, like uva ursi or licorice root. These are ingredients that, as you apply them to the skin, they kind of accumulate and they build up on darkened areas, and then they tell that to go back to sleep. So tyrosinase inhibitors are very targeted brighteners. They seek out areas of active melanin and they're working with those. The other angle that's really helpful is a vitamin C component, whether that's a fruit or plant-derived vitamin C or a pure vitamin C. And I can talk about a couple of products that have both of those. Those can be incredibly supportive for evening out the overall tone. So when we're really working on fading dark spots, it's ideal to have both of these in your routine. Now, a couple really good examples here. Let's start with these three. That might be it. No, I can do that one too. I've got a couple serums. So if you are new to us, our basic routine typically looks like you've got your cleanser, your toner, your serum, and your moisturizer. Your serum step, this is a pretty targeted step, and I've got two serums that can be very, very helpful. The first one is this one. This is called the citrus stem cell serum. And the citrus stem cell serum contains those tyrosinase inhibitors. So it's got uva ursi and it's got licorice root. This is a really nice one for working with active, kind of brown dark spots on the face. It doesn't have as much hydration as some of the other serums that we have, so I tend to recommend it for skin types that are in the normal, maybe normal to dry range, but somebody who's really, really dry, I've got another one that could be a better fit for you. But the uva ursi and the licorice root and the citrus stem cell serum are particularly supportive for building up and fading dark spots there. Now, the one that I love, the serum that I love the most, the absolute most when I'm working with somebody who's like, I am ready, I want to change my dark spots, I want to do this now, is the wild fruit serum. Now, the wild fruit serum, it encapsulates both forms of those brighteners. So this has the uva ursi, right? One of the targeted brighteners, one of those tyrosinase inhibitors that seeks out and targets dark spots. This also has an ingredient called cacao plum, and cacao plum has a strong vitamin C component to it, which is where we get this overall brightening, this overall kind of tone evening that is happening in the skin. The wild fruit serum also goes above and beyond with a lot of different facets of aging, drooping, fine lines, creasing, loss of volume, just a lot of different areas. But for the sake of this call, we'll kind of keep it to the brightening aspect. But it is one that if you have drier skin, it's a little bit more supportive than just the citrus stem cell serum. So the wild fruit serum is one of my absolute favorites. It's one that I use pretty much every day. Every once in a while I mix it up. But yeah, specifically love it for brightening up the skin, especially if I've had a sunspot kind of start to make its way up to the surface, to just help to kind of fade that. Now, let's say you already have serums and you've been using the serums for a while. What is a reason that those might not be, kind of creating this instant change in the skin? Serums, the way they work, the way ours work, is they absorb a little deeper into the skin and they're eliciting change lower in the skin before the skin has even moved its way up to becoming visible skin. So something like dark spots, if you're using the citrus stem cell serum or the wild fruit serum or another one of these products that I'll talk about here in a moment, we got three more. Um, it takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of time for your skin to go through its natural shedding cycle. A regular shedding cycle tends to be anywhere from 28 to 35 days, but that can slow down even further with time. So it can be longer for your skin to be sloughing off the upper layer and then moving lower layers up. So this like targeted brightening, this targeted fading that's happening beneath visible skin, this is happening below the surface, and then we see it start to change. So, all of that is to say, it is very common for it to take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks to start to see these fade. And then, as long as you are still working with consistency and regularity, then you're going to see that continue to fade. I might add that you also are protecting the skin from the sun. But once they start to fade, you're starting to see that change that has happened making its way to being the visible part of the skin. Now, it doesn't always take that long, but it can, especially if you're working with a sunspot that happened a long time ago, that was deep in the skin, where, whatever angle you're taking, whether it's the vitamin C, whether it's the tyrosinase inhibitor, it just takes a little bit longer for it to be reached and then to be worked with. Now, another product that could be really helpful if you're really starting to see things kind of stall is the Brighten Booster. This guy here. Now, Brighten is a booster. This is not a full-bodied serum. It is available in this single standalone version. It's also available in our set of three here, the set of three concentrated boosting elixirs. These guys. So Brighten comes as part of this set, or you can get it on its own. But Brighten is one of the few variations of a pure vitamin C that stays shelf stable. And I love this fact. So we use Brighten. Brighten is a tetrahexyl ascorbate. It is a very specific form of vitamin C. It is a pure and concentrated vitamin C that is designed to be mixed into something else. You can mix this into your serum. You can mix this into your moisturizer, your oil, or your cream. I've got teammates who will sometimes mix it into a mask. I usually do it in my serum. That's kind of my preferred application method. But you've got the other options, and those are perfectly fine too. But because this particular product, this is a simple formulation that is deeply concentrated. If you tried to apply this directly to the skin, most people's skin types do not react well to this directly on the skin. It wants to go into something else. My skin included. I have tried to put it directly on the skin because I am curious and I want to be able to tell you what happens. And it was a little, my skin was a little red. I kind of had a little bit of a rash that showed up after that. It's too concentrated. It's designed to go into something else. But specifically, if you've been working with the right serums, if you've been working with the right brighteners, and you're starting to see things stall, or you want to enhance the process, Boosting that with the vitamin C, boosting your serum with the vitamin C can really, really help in kind of enhancing the brightening aspect of whatever you are using. Now, what's interesting, and this is, I won't spend too much time here. I could spend the 45 minutes talking about this because I think it's so wild, but most vitamin C's on the market start in a powdered form. And then what happens is when the formulator puts it into its mix, it hits water or liquid or whatever, and it activates. And then by the time you get it, so it's gone through its formulation process, it's gone through its packaging process, it's either gone through a shipping process and is then at a warehouse or gone through a shipping process and is on a store shelf, that vitamin C has peaked in activation and either started to fade, so it's kind of inactive by the time it gets to you, or worst case scenario is actively rancid by the time it gets to you. So a lot of vitamin C's, especially if they're not in this particular form, they're not active by the time you're getting them and trying to work with them on the skin. So if you are using a vitamin C that is not an Anne Marie skincare vitamin C, it's worth your while to check the form of vitamin C. You might even go as far as to contact the brand wherever you purchase this from and check and see if that vitamin C is actually an active vitamin C. Because that can be something that is also stalling your progress. If you're using these vitamin C's and then you're noticing that nothing's really changing, well, the vitamin C that you might be, you know, trying, using, integrating, it's not doing anything. It's kind of dead at that point. Um, Renee. So Renee has asked, can I use the brightening booster with another brightening serum or would it be too much? No, you absolutely can. You can use the Brighten with any one of our serums except the activated night, but you can use it with, yeah, any of them. So it also allows, if you've got somebody who is really sensitive or really, really dry, and they prefer the feel of something like our hemp serum. The hemp serum has this rich, creamy consistency to it. It's got a lot of body to it. This is amazing for really dry skin. However, it doesn't have a lot of brighteners in it. It is not an actively brightening serum. You can kind of create your own by putting a pump of the hemp serum into your hand and a pump of the Brighten into your hand and mix that together. So it also allows folks whose skin types maybe aren't the most ideal for the brightening serums to kind of tweak or tailor another serum to help to support fading dark spots. The reason we don't recommend the Brighten with the activated night serum is because the activated night contains an ingredient called bioactive A, which is a retinol alternative. This bioactive A and the vitamin C, they kind of cancel each other out. When you use them both together, nothing crazy happens. It doesn't like melt your face off. It doesn't feel bad. But both of them kind of go down a little bit in how effective they are. So we don't recommend the Brighten with the activated night serum, but any of the others, this is a great way to boost and enhance the particular serum that you're looking at. So Brighten is another tool that you can put into your toolbox if you're noticing that your brightening is stalling, the fading of dark spots is stalling, that you really just need some extra support in helping, yeah, helping all of that kind of start to fade. Any questions so far? This is a great time to pop some questions in. If you've joined since we've started, we're talking about dark spots today. We're talking specifically about why you might be seeing that your dark spots, either the fading of them started to fade a little bit, uh, uh, or started to stall a little bit, or why your progress might be kind of lagging. We talked a little bit about sun love and sun protection and how that's a really, really, really important part of your whole process. And then we also kind of talked about the different brighteners that we have. I will pop again in the chat the coupon info for those who have joined since we started here. Pop it in there. Beep, beep, beep. That code is ASC series. It's for 30% off. your order, and it does expire at midnight tonight. So keep that in mind. You've got the day to do some shopping. If you're looking to round out your routine, that's a pretty ideal way to go is to use that coupon code, since it's a pretty steep discount. Yeah, and just an awesome way to use your discount, way to use the discount. Um, Jean, do you use the Brighten on a regular basis or only for a boost for your face? So I think yes, both. I use the Brighten most days. I use it in the morning because I'll use my Revitalize, which is the this booster. This is the retinol alternative booster in the evening. So I do use it most mornings. There will be times where my skin's a little more sensitive, especially in the wintertime when it gets really cold, or if I've been using a lot of lactic or exfoliating ingredients there that I might back off a little bit for it. But otherwise, yeah, it's been designed to be used every single day. You can absolutely use it every single day. It's nice and comfy like that. So. Very good question. I'd love to hear, all of you hopped on this call. Are you experiencing having working, you've been trying to fade dark spots and they haven't really been fading for you, or maybe you had results and then they started to fade, or are you simply just curious, other ways you can support fading dark spots? I want to know what's going on for all of you. Oh, yes. Yes, Mary. So you can mix it with any of the body products. The Radiant Skin Silk is a really nice one to mix the Brighten with. So Brighten again is the booster. And Mary is talking about Radiant Skin Silk. I thought I had it, which is a body lotion. And you can mix those together to kind of create your own brightening body lotion. So it's great for backs of hands if you've got sun damage on the backs of the hands. The forearms, really popular for the forearms or shoulders. Some people, a lot of people, especially on the left side, because we drive, will have sun damage that pops up on their shoulders. So yes, you can mix Brighten with the Radiant Skin Silk. Um, for the body. And that's a great way to go there. Yeah, let's see what else we've got going on here. So cool. Ours has the citrus stem cell serum, wild fruit serum, and the lactic products. Those are very solid. I definitely want to make sure that you've got a sunscreen in your routine. That's pretty key. Renee wants to support fading dark spots and they reappeared. Oh, yep, after spending too much time in the sun with no sunscreen. It's so tricky, the sun exposure, because humans, like evolutionarily speaking, we benefit from direct UV exposure. We, as a brand, recommend that you do get direct UV exposure. With some kind of caveats, we always recommend morning. We always recommend a limited exposure, being very mindful of how you're getting your sun exposure to really mitigate any potential damage or exacerbation of damage. Um, but yeah, if you've gone a little too far or you've had a little too much sun, an easy thing that helps there, I mean, Sun Love is awesome. And I'm the kind of person that has Sun Love in my bag. I've got it in a backpack. I've got it in my purse that goes with me into the car. I'll apply it. I'll literally pump it on my fingertips and just pat it over dark spots while I'm driving. But hats are also something that you can get your hands on. You can get one that you just kind of roll up and keep it again in your purse or your car. Um, Things like that. I have a piece of UPF fabric that I keep in my car, which you can look online and find. But sometimes if I'm driving and I'm like driving right into the sun, I'll tuck it in my shirt. Or if I have, I'm wearing something that my chest is a little more exposed, I literally might just like put it over my chest like a bib to decrease the sun exposure and sun damage on my chest. Oh yeah, thank you, Emily. Emily popped in the chat. We do have a mini Sun Love, which is like the jar looks like this-ish. It's kind of like a smaller, rounder, like different shape, a little more squat. But this is also nice for purses and little mini Sun Love. So, oh, and Mary, the fabric is UPF, so it's a different UPF. Is that right? Now I'm less sure. If you search sun protection fabric, you'll probably find it. But it's not a SPF. It's like a different measurement because it's a fabric then and not a cosmetic. So it's regulated differently and measured differently. But UPF fabric, I mean they make tons and tons of clothing. It depends on what you feel comfortable wearing or what fabrics you feel comfortable wearing. But the fabric is a really easy one because I can toss it in a bag. If I'm driving and I've got the sun right on my shoulder, I can also just toss it over my shoulder if I don't want to rub a bunch of sunscreen into my shoulder. You can't put it on your face, unfortunately, so you do still want to protect your skin with Sun Love or Salt and Blue. Salt and Blue, of course, is our sister company. We this is an Anne Marie adjacent. We launched this company this year. We've got so much in the queue as far as sunscreens coming your way. It is a body sunscreen, but I use it on my face and I love it on my face. So test it out first, make sure your skin likes it. But Rebecca, you don't like the white cast that Sun Love leaves. So a couple things. Make sure when you have your Sun Love that you have kind of made sure it's mixed together. I just twist the top off. This has more than I thought. I thought this was empty. This would be super white if I put it on. I could do it for you guys. How are we on time? Yeah. Um, the zinc it has a different weight than the oil. So sometimes if it sits still for a long time, or if it travels on a truck and just gets banged a lot, you get this separation that happens. And then when you're pumping it, it's either going to be this super thick, very zinky blend, or the opposite end of the spectrum, which is like a super thin, oily blend. And we want it to be a little different. So a quick little mix is all it takes. It does not need to be mixed every day. You can try to shake it. I've never had great luck shaking it because it's just a richer consistency. But if you're very strong, maybe that will work for you. But when I apply it, I'm going to show you if you're finding that it's so white, it's really heavy, mist your skin before you put it on. This is a Neroli toning mist, but any of the toning mists will work. We don't want you to do the lactic toner and then go outside. So this one's at night, and so you wouldn't need sunscreen, but any of the mists should be good. And then you make sure it's open, right? Yeah, here we go. Then I don't know how much this is, about that much. I like to warm it up on my fingertips a little bit because I don't particularly like cold products on my hands, but then I'll kind of press it into my cheeks and then come in and blend this in. I usually would have one of the Anne Marie head wraps so my hair wouldn't be in my face, but I really focus on getting it all the way back to my hairline. You would be surprised. This was something I saw a lot when I was hands-on and I did facials and I worked with customers doing like working fading dark spots in person, how often we see sun damage show up kind of along this band of the body hair. And Emily is also an esthetician and she's on the call. And I don't know, Emily, if you also noticed that, but a lot of times when people put their sunscreen on, they apply it just like right in the part of their face that they can see, right where they're looking, but being really intentional to push it into the hairline. If I was wearing my hair up, I might pull it onto the tops of my ear. Yeah, Emily's seen it too. And yeah, and that's it. If I was going, out in the world, I might be a little more conscientious to put this down into my neck and my chest. If I feel like that's pretty sufficiently blended in and I had any left over on my hands, I would rub it onto the backs of my hands. But this is what it looks like when it's on. And this is even a little bit more white cast than it will end up being. It does fade even more as it stays on the skin. So this is what your end result should look like. If what you're finding is that you apply it and you look really, really white or really, really washed out, it could need to be mixed. That's the first thing. You might try the toning mist. That's another thing that can be helpful. You also might need a little bit less. For just the face just now, I did probably about a dime to penny size, and that was a sufficient coverage. I do typically take it underneath my brow bone and like kind of on the upper ends of the orbital bone there. I'm just trying to protect, the entire face. Um, and that's how I get that on. So hopefully that is helpful for, let me see that was. Rebecca. Yeah, hopefully those tips can be helpful for you getting your sun lab to cooperate. Oh, let's see here. I do want to extend the invitation because this comes up on calls sometimes, and you can feel free to keep popping questions in. I do see these ones here for one-on-one consultations with me. And I have a coupon because I'd love to offer 50% off with these. And Grace or Emily, if you want to post the link to the one-on-one consults, I'll post the code. 50 here. So many of you on the call, that's how we've met before, is we did a one-on-one consultation, but the one-on-one consultations are a really nice opportunity to dive in pretty deep. So, especially if you're experiencing something like working on dark spots and it's stalling or something's kind of fading or not feeling as effective. Or I see this a lot where somebody has purchased a lot of product and they just have so much and they don't know what to do with it. That is super common. So, we're gonna post the link in here for the actual consultations, but using that coupon code that I posted in here, you can save 50%. I love to do it for people I like and have more time where you can hang out with me. So, um, oh yeah, I got you. I know where they're listed, Emily. I'll find it on the site. But I'll post this, and then I'll go up and um, answer some of these other questions. So sorry. My computer, it it can only do one thing at a time. Here we go. Yeah, group consultation. One-on-one consultation. So these consultations are, like I said, deep dives. These are an hour long. Sometimes they are longer, it's not super rigid if we're just kind of chatting a bunch or you've got complicated skin. But we look at things and we talk about things like if you've had blood work done, where your hormones are at. This can be really relevant with dark spots specifically. Yeah, or what your thyroid function was. This can also be super relevant when we're talking about dark spots. So the link is here in the chat. You've got the coupon code. Yeah, come hang out. Let me go back up and see the question here. So Renee has shared yeah, too much time is like 10 minutes. Yeah, they turn dark. Yep, and you know exactly where the damage is from. That's really common is that you had a really intense sunburn at a very specific point, and then that melanin is very kind of like prone to that reactivation. Um, and so the amount of sun exposure that we recommend, unprotected sun exposure, usually falls within the 10 to 30-minute range. Unless you are, olive complected Italian variation where you're predisposed to integrating or responding to the sun differently, um, then most of the time it's in the 10 to 30-minute range that we would recommend that for you. So that's about right. Okay, cool. So you've also got a pure zinc sunscreen that you made with tallow and you mix it in with some serums and it seems to work well. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Very, very good. Okay, and then we've got the consult links in here. So this has been pretty good. What other questions do you have for me? We've still got a good 5 minutes. I could still keep vamping here on what else might be going on. But I want to make sure that I get whatever you're wondering kind of answered. The big things that I would want to leave you with, if you're finding that you've been using products and you're seeing your dark spots are not fading or not fading in the way that you like, is that sunscreen's important. Consistency, consistency, right? Because the way these brighteners work, the uva uracil and the licorice root, if you use them on a Monday and only every Monday, that's going to incredibly slow down the progress and how that dark spot fading starts to happen. So making sure if you're working on dark spots, you've got an active brightener in the morning, an active brightener in the evening, you're sticking to the consistency. What was the other one that I had there? Um, dark spots with the sunblock. Let me see Ars's question here. Oh, that's a good question. So Brighten would not replace the citrus stem cell. Brighten is not a serum. Brighten is a booster. So it is amazing and an amazing support for bolstering progress, for enhancing and kind of boosting the brightening capabilities of what you're using. But it is a concentrated vitamin C. So when used directly on the skin for most skin types, it's not actually that supportive. It oftentimes is more irritating than it is helping to brighten the skin or helping to fade dark spots. Skin can kind of go into this like protective or reactive mode, and so then it's just not even doing um, what we were wanting to do. Another thing I mentioned, kind of just calling back to top of mind things that you might be running into if your dark spots are not fading, is that you might double check the vitamin C, the form of vitamin C that you're using, if you are using a vitamin C in your routine. Most forms of vitamin C, pure vitamin C, are not shelf stable. So unless you're using them fresh as a daisy, by the time it gets to you, it's already kind of gone downhill. How does the sun love work with skin with very small pores? That's a very good question. I would, my expectation would be that this still worked quite well. You might need a little bit of extra support with making sure that the skin is dampened. So for you, for some folks, every once in a while, it's helpful to use a toning mist before they put their sun love on. For you, Jean, it could be that every time you're going to apply your sun love, you mist the skin. So you get this kind of the like aqueous soft base, and it helps to pull whatever you're applying on top of it in, whether it's the sun love, whether it's a moisturizer, it can help that really penetrate into the skin to have that aqueous damp feel on the skin. So that would be what I would expect would be something that would help that penetrate pretty easily. But I work with folks a lot of times. I don't know that they would describe their skin as small pored, but they might be very, very dry, which can sometimes manifest as smaller pores or smaller presenting pores. And the sun love is still something that's very helpful for them. And we do sometimes have to do the toning mist before we apply it, anytime we apply it. Uh, yep, Mary. So you can use the Brighten with the hemp serum. You can use it with the Divine Woman. You can use it with the anti-aging, really any moisturizer or serum with the exception of the activated night. I really love the Brighten in the cream, the restorative facial cream. That combo is just so pretty, and the cream itself has so many other anti-aging properties that it really, really creates this kind of like amazing brightening anti-aging product. But any of our moisturizers, any of our serums, you can mix it into a mask. This is the Illuminating Pearl Mask. I tend to not do it in the mask because I feel like the price point of the Brighten is high enough that I really want it to just stay on the skin. I don't want to put it on and then rinse it off. But you do have that option. And I know estheticians who will apply it to clients like that. So it's definitely a good way to go. Um, yeah, Renee, so you have the citrus stem cell serum and it's working. That's awesome. The citrus stem cell serum is a pretty powerhouse product. But yes, the Brighten is one that can take that much further. So if you're kind of running into a rut, you're finding that the fading is kind of stalled, you're already being very mindful to protect the skin from the sun. then including that booster can push that over the edge for you. Great, great, great. Okay, I've got 2 minutes. I'm gonna share a promo code again. Actually, I'll share both promos. I gotta find him. Here you are. For this call for this group today, we've got our coupon code ASC series that expires at midnight tonight. We will be meeting at the same time next Tuesday and the Tuesday after, and we're going to be diving into different angles of fading dark spots. So you're going to see us talking about some lactics and exfoliants on some of these calls. We're going to dive into routines that are pretty ideal for dark spots. So yeah, if you haven't already registered for those others, definitely come hang out with us there. And then for my group today, I've got 50% off on the one-on-one consultations going here. Post that. So save that coupon code. You don't have to use it right away. I think that one's good for maybe a week or so. If you use it and it doesn't work, just email customer support. Um, and we'll make sure that we get that going for you. But this is an amazing way to really, really hone your routine. We create this ongoing relationship. So we meet on our initial meeting time and then we stay in touch. And so we work together to make sure that we get a routine that is right for you. With that, we're at our time here, so I am gonna wrap it up and close it out. Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you for all of you who are able to hop on. And I'm looking forward to diving into this further. So we'll see you guys next Tuesday, as we keep going here. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody. Bye.